for the very first time, I'm Pastor Pope, Senior Pastor in New Life Christian Center, located at 400 Hillcrest Avenue in Wilmington, Delaware, 19809. We are located right on the corner of Hillcrest and Marsh Road. There is parking on Hillcrest. We are the brown brick building located right on the corner of Hillcrest and Marsh Road. Service begins every Sunday at 10 a.m. If you are in our area, we invite you to come and worship with us. We invite you to come and experience a better quality of life. If you're not in our area, you can tune in wherever you are across the U.S. and wherever you are around the globe at 10:45 a.m. when we go live with the Sunday sermon every Sunday at New Life Christian Center, and we invite you to experience a better quality of life. As always, we are here in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast, every Monday through Friday from 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, scheduling permitted, broadcasting live from the FijiWater.com sponsored studio. And as always, our Daily Divine Direction broadcast 3D is brought to you by Fiji Water, Earth's finest water. You may already know that Fiji water comes from Fiji. However, did you know that it is created by nature? It is untouched by man. It starts as a tropical rainfall which slowly filters through layers of volcanic rock, where the water collects in a natural, sustainable artesian aquifer where it is bottled right at the source, free from human contact until you unscrew the blue cap. Fiji Water, Earth's finest water, will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery, and you'll save money at FijiWater.com. This is Earth's finest water. It is not just water, it is Fiji water. And for those of you who continue giving on the give segment of our app at New Life-Delaware, and those of you who have made a weekly or monthly commitment by giving on the contribution pages of our websites at newlifeministriesinternational.com and newlifeinternationalcdc.com, we thank you for your support and for your commitment as we fulfill our commitment to God to be here to address whatever topics you might like to discuss, whatever issues of life you find challenging or that you find difficult to navigate. You can discuss careers, finances, entrepreneurship. You can discuss marriage, divorce, raising children, blending families, whatever's in your heart, whatever's on your mind. God is concerned about that which concerns you. And that's why we are here in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast, every Monday through Friday from 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, scheduling permitted. And so I want to remind all of our listeners and viewers, we are Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and on RadioFreeNetwork.com. You can click on radio and the drop box will appear. Click on New Life and every broadcast will be available to you. And we are live on all of those platforms. We continue to expand our broadcast. We have some other things that we want to share with our listeners and viewers coming up as we continue to make certain that everyone has the opportunity to view the broadcast on whatever platform you feel comfortable viewing. But we are live, Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and RadioFreeNetwork.com Live, right here in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. So, as you know, this week I spent a lot of time addressing communications that have come in from our listeners and viewers and from all of you who have been communicating with us regarding how do you become successful, how do you maintain your success, how do you preserve your success. And so I'm going to close out the week. I was going to really finish yesterday, but there was a communication that had come in that I really want to talk about for one of our listeners and viewers. And then I want to talk to all of our listeners and viewers about, what it really means to move forward with your success, becoming successful. And I'm going to close out the week with this topic today. And then, of course, you'll hear from time to time as we address other communications that have come in, just so that we can all get to the place that God has appointed for our lives and that God has purposed for our lives. And so I'm going to address a communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers first, who indicated that you and your husband are franchise business owners, and although your business continues to be successful, you now have your children running the business, and you do not feel as though they are maximizing their success. So you want to know, how do you get them on track, on board, and on track to maximize their success? And so I'm going to begin here, and I don't want anyone to misinterpret what I'm about to say about millennials, because your children are now over 30. So, well, you actually have one who's 29, and then you have two that are in their, early to mid 30s. And you've now given them the responsibility of running the business, operating the business, the franchise. So, to God be the glory, you had a plan for transitioning the business to your children. The issue has become in our society that millennials only want to work enough, most, I'm not going to say all, there's exceptions to every rule, but many of them, and they're as good as we have. I mean, this generation is that behind us who are baby boomers, they're brilliant. They have brilliant minds. The problem is society has really had an impact on their mindset. Social media has had an impact on their mindset, and for many of them, there are exceptions to every rule, but for many and most, they only want to make enough money to do the things that they enjoy doing, to travel, to hang out with their friends, to be able to, post on social media. This is their life. What they don't realize is that you have built a business that wasn't designed for them just to do the things they want to do. It was designed with the intent that they would maximize the success of this franchise, perhaps open another franchise, or at very least open another business, and to use the revenue from this franchise, which is a revenue generating franchise, to open even another type of business, but to continue expanding the family business empire. And now what you have is millennials who are your children, who love running the business that you've built, but they only want to run it in a way that they can. So for example, you've got three of them. If one of them wants to travel, the other two are going to cover for them. That works, but you're right, they're not maximizing the success. They're not maximizing. Now, the good news is that you have been able to pivot. I talked about this with another business owner. You've been able to pivot during the pandemic. You've been able to move in a direction that has allowed you to remain open. Once we reopened, you were able to do takeout, and you were able to do drive-through. So you were still able to continue a successful business. Because people are always going to have to eat. To God be the glory. But the reality is that your children see this as a way of doing the things they want to do. None of them have children. None of them are married. So they're able to move around. They're able to do the things they want to do. Their focus is not maximizing the success of the business. And what they have to learn is that when the employees see them not functioning or performing at a high level, they're not going to function and perform at a high level. The goal should be that now that they've taken over the business, is that every employee maximize their workspace. So what I mean by that is, in a franchise, your goal should be to generate a specific amount of revenue per square footage. And even during the pandemic, it should have been, maximizing our revenue per car, maximizing the revenue per takeout. There's still work to be done. And they have to find ways to increase, to grow the business. So the idea should be, every customer that comes through, how can you upsell them while servicing them? Because one of the ways you're going to be able to upsell is by providing good service. Their thought process, and I've been working on this a lot lately, particularly this part from January until now, I've been really focusing on the millennial mindset. And what can we do so that this generation, this millennial generation, changes their mindset to focus on continued growth and success, as opposed to becoming stagnant with, I have the opportunity to do what I want because I'm in the family business, I'm in my career, I'm making money, so I can travel, I can, do the activities I want to do, I can hang out with my friends, but that's not going to be conducive for them building wealth, preserving wealth, and creating a legacy. So you're going to have to change their mindset. And the way that you're going to have to do that is, you go by the store every week, you and your wife, you and your husband. You go by the store every week. So you stop in to check in on them, you have conversations with them, you call them to see how things are going. You get an opportunity to see that the business is continuing, but that's the reason you sent in this communication, because your concern is, based on what we've been talking about this week, maximizing your success. They're not maximizing their success. And you're correct. That's your concern. You're going to have to spend more time at the business. And the way that you do that is, I would suggest that you and your husband, although you have been trying to give them the space to grow, maybe spend Monday, Wednesday, and Friday in the store instead of just going by once a week and then having conversations with them. You were trying to let them grow. I get it. You were trying to let them grow in the business. They've worked in the franchise, so you were trying to let them grow in the business. And that, we all want our children to grow in some form. We want growth. We want them to continue growing until they get to a place where they have a clear understanding of what it takes to become successful. So you have raised your family, you put them through college, and now you've got and this is the blessing, you've got all three of them back working in the business. That's not common, because you usually always find one who wants to be difficult that doesn't want to work in the business, or all of them might not want to work in the business. In your case, all three of them are back working in the business. So that was a good start. But now you want them to maximize their success. So what you're gonna need to do now is to let them, you stayed out of the midst since the pandemic. Once you got everything organized for them to operate the business, you stayed away from customers. We're not young anymore, so I get it. You stayed away from customers. You stopped in the store once a week just to check on them, talked with them on the telephone. You were going over the books every month. That's good. You were giving them room to grow during the pandemic, and they're social media savvy, so they can, they've been doing some things in the business to do business the way millennials do business. That's good. But you're gonna have to spend more time in the store giving them more of an example of how to operate the business to maximize their success. And because you're in the store more frequently now, well, you will be. Now that we're vaccinated and you're wearing masks, but because you're gonna go back to being in the store Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and maybe your husband on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, because you're going to do that, and then if you both want to be in there together, fine, but they're not going to take off as many days going on trips. They're not going to take off as many days just doing activities. They're not going to be focused on traveling. They're not going to be focused on hanging out with their friends, because you're present. Now, they're going to recognize that if you're in the store, that they need to be in the store. You thought it would give them time to grow because of the pandemic. You thought that they'd be able to grow organically at a pace that would allow them to focus on their success, but that's not the millennial mindset. It's just not. And now that you know that, you've got to work on their success. You've got to work on getting them to understand the importance of being successful, maximizing their success, and then maintaining their success. I've often said this. There are people who are afraid to be successful because when you become successful, it requires you to work twice as hard to maintain that success. Because there's always going to be moving parts. There's always going to be new things that need to be done, that must be done. There's always going to be new moving parts, and you have to work twice as hard once you become successful to maintain that success. And that's what they don't understand. Now, they understood that you and your husband have made enough money in a franchise to be able to send them to college. They understand that. They understand that they can make enough money in salary to enjoy life. They're not focused on maximizing their success. And what's really interesting? I want to encourage you to just get back in the store 3 days a week, focus on what they're doing, monitor what they're doing, encourage them to do things a different way, and you'll see that they will begin to grow in this. They will begin to become more successful, and then you can focus on getting them to transition into another franchise or into even other business interests. I understand you want them to maximize their success, and they will get there, but they're only going to get there with your help. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. So if you're not currently a T-Mobile customer, you may call or text on the T-Mobile call or text line at 267-992-1424. We will place you into our queue so that you can become a T-Mobile customer and experience America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. Taxes and fees are included in your bill, and if you auto pay by attaching a credit card to your account, you will receive a discount on your monthly bill at T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. So I want to go a step further with becoming successful, maintaining your success, and preserving your success, maximizing your success. And I'm going to talk about that, and since we focused on this communication today, I'm going to talk about this from a millennial perspective. We really need to focus on helping this generation to become a better version of themselves, to become the best version of themselves that they can possibly become. So we have to help them to understand that it's one thing to become successful in your career or successful in your business. It's another aspect to maximize that success. And that's what a lot of them are missing today. So they're not understanding the significance of maximizing their success because society's giving them so many more options. I'm able to show others the success of my life by posting things on social media, and I'm able to do that if I am in my career, working in my career, and making enough money to do that. I'm able to travel and post photos because I'm making enough money in my career and I can afford to travel. And for young people who have the entrepreneurial spirit, who start businesses, they are starting businesses with the thought with two thoughts in mind. One is, I don't want to work for someone else, and the other is, I can make enough money to do the things I want to do. They're not focused on anything beyond that. In most cases, they're not focused on, someday having a family. They're not focused on, not only do I want to maximize my success for the potential of being married and having children. They're not focused on the legacy that they can leave behind. They're focused on, I have a successful career, or I have a good business so that I can make money and do what I want to do. That's their focus. For many and most. There are exceptions to every rule. What we have to help them to understand is it's important to maximize the success of your career. Now, the issue with that is when you have become successful and when you do maximize your success in your career, well, you become successful, you're going to have to work twice as hard to maximize that success. When you maximize that success, you're going to have to work twice as hard to maintain that success. And most people don't understand that, because most people don't really want to work that hard. They say they want to be successful. It sounds good when you say, I have this position in my career, or I own a business. It sounds good. Those are great things, great accomplishments, but it's not the end. The finish line for success is in stages. I said the other day, you can run a 5K. There's a finish line for that, but it's not a 10K. You can run a 10K, there's a finish line for the 10K, but it's not a half marathon. there's a finish line for a half marathon. You can run a half marathon. There's a finish line for the half marathon. It's 13.1 miles, but it's not a marathon. So your understanding of maximizing your success is not that I have to continue pushing myself to become the best version of myself that I can possibly become. So one of our listeners and viewers sent in a communication and asked, how do you get millennials to understand the importance of maximizing their success? And one way that we can do that is by leading by example. Now the problem with that is often millennials are going to look at their parents and they're going to see the success that we've had, they're going to see the quality of life that we live, and they're going to say, you're successful in spite of yourself because basically I think you're a village idiot. So I say all of that to say, it's really just leading by example, hoping that as they look upon our lives, they will understand that we didn't just get here by doing what we want to do every day of our lives. We do what we need to do every day of our lives so that we can do the things that we want to do after while maintaining our success. So there's things that you might want to do, there's goals that you've set, but the reality is that we have to keep working to accomplish them. And then once we accomplish one goal, listen, if you have accomplished every goal that you have ever set for your life, you need a bigger vision. Because if you're still here, there's still work that God wants to accomplish in you. And it may be to be an example for someone else's life. It may be for you to bless someone else's life, but you have a responsibility because you're still here. We have to fulfill that responsibility. We have to be willing to work to that end. And so what I recognize in our society today, and I still say, this millennial generation is better than our generation with regard to being the brightest and the best as we move forward. Because all of us who are baby boomers, we're aging out. They're as good as we have. We just have to make certain that they change the millennial mindset from the way they're living now, that society is constantly bombarding them with information so that they follow the herd, that they are driven by the popular culture and accept whatever is being fed to them. We have to do a better job of showing them that there's a much better way to do this. Now they may say, well, why do you think it's better? The results speak for themselves. The fruit speaks for itself. The methods we've used to get to where we are today are good methods. It's a good methodology because we wouldn't be where we are today without that. Now the question is, what are they going to do to exceed that? To exceed what we've been able to accomplish? How hard are they willing to work, and how effectively and efficiently are they willing to work to exceed what we've accomplished? That has to be the goal. We can accomplish that by leading by example, and we can pray that they will follow that example and that they'll begin to work to maximize their success. They'll begin to work to become successful and maximize their success. And hopefully we can encourage them to do that in a relationship with the Lord, because that's the only way that they're going to learn to maximize their success. But they have to see it in us first to fulfill it in themselves. Today's Daily Divine Direction broadcast 3D has been brought to you by Fiji Water. A taste of paradise will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery, and you'll save money at FijiWater.com. May God bless you today. May God keep his face turned towards you. May God give you peace that surpasses all understanding. We hope that if you're in our area, you'll come and worship with us at New Life Christian Center, 400 Hillcrest Avenue in Wilmington, Delaware, 19809.